If you love delinquent mangas just as much as I do, then I seriously recommend that you read Shonan Junai Gumi. It's a great manga that's been under the radar, and in my opinion, I think it deserves a lot more recognition. The manga is the prequel to GTO, which is one of my all-time favorite mangas. The story revolves around a former gang member and virgin named Eikichi Onizuka, who sets out to be the greatest teacher ever. It's a very simple and straightforward plot, but it's an amazing story filled with cool, funny, emotional, and impactful moments. When it comes to GTO, personally, I would recommend that you read the manga instead of watching the anime. There's nothing wrong with the anime, it's actually pretty decent. It has a nice charm to it, the voice actors are good, it has great OSTs, and overall, it's a good experience. However, with that being said, the GTO manga is much better than the anime from a quality standpoint. The manga is much more perverted, extreme, and completely unfiltered. If you want to get the full experience and rawness of GTO, then reading the manga is the way to go. In the case of Shonan Junai Gumi, I would argue the same. It does have a simple anime adaptation in the form of OVAs that you can find on YouTube, but reading the manga is a much better experience in my opinion. So, the plot of Shonan Junai Gumi focuses on the legendary Onibaku duo consisting of Eikichi Onizuka and Ryuji Danma and their quest to lose their virginity and reach maturity. They are known for their tenacity and viciousness and have earned a strong reputation as widely feared bosozoku, which is a Japanese youth subculture that revolves around speed, thrill, and the extreme customization of motorcycles or cars. The manga starts off as a gag, but as the story progresses, more serious issues present themselves, following a similar story structure to that of GTO. As the story unfolds, we meet the Onibaku's wide range of friends and foes and the crazy and extreme situations that they get into. It's a manga filled with action, comedy, and it does a really good job expanding on the idea and influence of Japanese gang culture. The reason why I love delinquent mangas, especially this one, is because I'm a huge fan of that culture. In Japan, there is a popular genre that focuses on having a main character who's a young rebel or gang leader, in other words, a bancho. Those types of characters are usually modeled after high school delinquents and portrayed as heroic rebels that have very big personalities. They're fearless troublemakers and do most of the talking with their fists. They usually challenge the status quo, and it does tie in pretty well to the literary theme of individual versus society. There are many popular characters that you may have seen in anime and manga who have been influenced by that genre and culture, such as of course Eikichi Onizuka, Jotaro Kujo from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Yusuke Urameshi from Yu Yu Hakusho, Takamura, Aoki, and Kimura from Hajime no Ippo, and so on and so forth. Shonan Junai Gumi truly captures the essence of Japanese gang culture through its story and characters, especially through Onizuka. In the manga, Onizuka has the look of a typical high school delinquent. He's rocking the ducktail haircut, baggy high school uniform, and of course, has his own customized motorcycle. Just like how a sword is a reflection of a samurai's soul, a motorcycle is a reflection of a delinquent's soul. He embodies that identity very well, and you can see it from the very beginning of the story. Ryuji is slightly more restrained compared to Onizuka from a behavioral standpoint, but he also personifies that identity just as well. The manga does a really good job at illustrating the Japanese gang culture through the duo's relationship with their friends and through their daily troublemaking routines. They have their own squad, and through their fearless personality and reputation, they're able to attract more people into their group. There are so many cool 1v1 fights in this manga, and also on a larger scale, especially when different gang members clash, whether it be over a girl, territory war, or just to simply establish their dominance. Furthermore, the social aspect within the story is also done really well. The interactions between the characters are quite enjoyable, funny, epic, and at times can be very emotional. Throughout the story, we see Onizuka and Ryuji try to hook up with girls, but their lifestyle prevents them from actually being able to achieve that at times. Onizuka does feel like the main character when you read the manga, however, Ryuji does get a lot of attention as well. I think Fujisawa does a pretty good job at establishing a good balance between the two characters to give each one an opportunity to shine in their own way. Onizuka and Ryuji have a really deep brotherly bond. In the GTO manga, you don't actually get any deep flashbacks explaining their relationship. However, in Shonan Junai Gumi, you get a really good look at just how much love and respect they have for one another. They basically have an iron bond that can't be broken. Aside from Onizuka and Ryuji, there are many characters that, although don't get as much development as the Onibaku duo, still get a good amount to help the readers understand how it shapes their identity and personality. For instance, in GTO, we see Saejima, one of Onizuka's good friends, and just like Ryuji, we don't really get any good development for his character in the main manga, but in the Shonan Junai Gumi prequel, he's actually part of the main cast and does get a good amount of attention. Nagisa is another example as well. She appears very briefly in GTO, but in this prequel there's actually a whole other layer to her character that gets exploited. Another character that I want to bring up as well is Shinomi Fujisaki. In GTO, she appears as Tomoko Nomura's makeup artist, and at the end of the series seems to catch on to the identity of Tomoko and Mayu's teacher. Afterwards, she appears again in GTO 14 Days in Shonan, which is the side story of the main manga. In the side story, her relationship with Onizuka actually links really well to the events that transpired in Shonan Junai Gumi. The unique aspect of this manga is its flexibility and dynamism. The story doesn't follow a straight line, and the main characters don't have any particular goal that they're trying to achieve. This structure allows the manga to go in many different directions. This setup really does get the most out of both Onizuka and Ryuji's characters. They encounter so many foes and get into really cool fights against other gang members. There are so many cool and exciting moments where Onizuka in particular shows up and confronts other gang members wearing his Tokofuku uniform, which were often modified and embroidered jumpsuits. It reminds me a lot of the Hokage cloak in Naruto. Furthermore, just like Onizuka, Ryuji does get a lot of cool solo moments as well where he gets to show off his character, and I keep going back to this, but it's through those illustrations in particular that you really get to grasp the way of life and identity of the Japanese gang culture, especially the Bosozoku lifestyle. When you read these moments, you really feel the true rawness of the story. It's definitely a manga that gets you pumped up as you progressively read. Overall, it's a great manga. It's definitely underrated in my opinion. The art style in the beginning might throw off a lot of people, but it gets better progressively, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. In terms of whether you should start with Shonan Junai Gumi or GTO, it's really up to you. I would recommend that you start with GTO and then read the prequel. At the end of the day, GTO is the main manga, so it's much better to read it and familiarize yourself with Onizuka's character, and then go back and read his early days. In the main manga and in the prequel, you notice that Onizuka is pretty much the same. He maintains his identity and personality in both stories, which ties into one of his main life lessons in GTO about how being true to yourself is all that really matters, and that you should not succumb to any social expectations. If you love shonen, comedy, action, or GTO, then I would definitely recommend this manga. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and turn on that bell notification so you're notified whenever I upload content. And as usual, Shonen Boy out. Peace and take care.